Spectreman! Spectreman!
Remember that weird ape-man villain and the silver hero who fought pollution monsters? Spectreman hit US airwaves in 1978, 7 years later, and most fans never knew its shocking origin story. Today, we're counting down 10 wild facts about the show that made environmentalism look genuinely terrifying. Let's blast off with number 10.
Houston Control, Apollo calling, following schedule flight plan.
Number 10. The hero who had to ask permission. Ever notice Spectreman couldn't just transform whenever danger struck? That's because he literally had to phone home first. Our hero Joji Gamo worked undercover as a regular guy, but when monsters attacked, he'd raise his right hand and request transformation from the mysterious Overlord of Nebula 71. Only then would a beam zap him into his silver suit. It's like needing your boss's approval before clocking in, except the office is space and your TPS reports involve giant rampaging beasts. This command-authorized power system set Spectreman apart from other tokusatsu heroes who could transform at will, creating genuine suspense in those moments when Joji needed help right now. The Overlord thankfully never said no, but the tension was real every single episode.
Oh, look at that!
Huh?
I was only kidding.
Number 9. He worked for the Pollution Police. While secretly being an alien superhero, Joji Gamo clocked in at a government agency called the Pollution G-Men. Yes, that was their actual name. Imagine putting that on a business card. This team investigated environmental disasters across Japan, completely unaware their mild-mannered colleague was the silver giant who kept saving their necks every week. The setup brilliantly mirrored Japan's early 1970s environmental crisis, when industrial pollution was making headlines and spawning real-world activism across the country. It's Clark Kent at the Daily Planet, except instead of covering crime, he's documenting toxic sludge and mysterious smog clouds. Which, as we'll see, were exactly what the villains weaponized into living nightmares. The Pollution G-Men gave the show grounding in contemporary anxieties, making every monster feel like a twisted news report come to life.
You just take it easy. We'll run into that thicket when I give the word.
Number 8. An evil scientist literally farming pollution. Meet Dr. Gory, the villain with the simplest yet most terrifying plan in tokusatsu history. This banished ape-like alien scientist arrived on Earth, took one look at humanity's industrial waste, and thought, perfect monster fuel. He and his sidekick Karis harvested pollution, smog, sludge, toxic runoff, all the nastiest byproducts of civilization, and turned it into giant creatures designed to wipe out or enslave humanity. It wasn't metaphorical. Pollution was literally the raw material for his kaiju factory, the building blocks of apocalypse. Dr. Gory's scheme tapped into genuine 1970s fears about what humanity was doing to the planet, making every episode feel like environmental revenge. The monsters weren't invaders from space. They were our own garbage coming back for revenge. Our sins given teeth and claws. And some of those early monsters had names that left nothing to the imagination.
This creature has great destructive power and mobility. Given a chance, it may destroy the Earth without our interference.
All right, on.
Number 7. Monsters named Dustman and Hidoran. When the show wanted to hammer home its environmental message, it didn't mess around with subtlety or clever metaphors. Early episodes featured creatures with names like Dustman. Yes, a monster literally made of pollution particles and airborne filth. And Hidoran, derived from the Japanese word for sludge and industrial waste. These weren't just scary. They were walking, roaring indictments of industrial negligence. Environmental testimonies with claws. Kids watching in 1971 Japan were living through smog advisories and mercury poisoning scandals. So a monster called Dustman hit differently than it might today. The on-the-nose naming worked because the threat felt real. These monsters weren't fantasy. They were cautionary tales wearing rubber suits. You could practically smell the pollution through your TV screen. But as shocking as those monster names were, the sponsors found them a little too real.
That terrible monster rat. Do you think he has George?
Number 6. Sponsors killed the green message. Here's where corporate reality crashed the eco-party with spreadsheets and nervous phone calls. Those heavy-handed pollution monsters and environmental warnings that made the show so distinctive, sponsors hated them with a passion. By mid-run, the company's bankrolling Spectreman grew uncomfortable with messaging that essentially pointed fingers at industrial Japan, the same industries cutting the checks. So the show quietly pivoted, phasing out explicit eco-themes in later episodes while keeping the Monster of the Week formula intact. Monsters stopped being toxic sludge manifestations and started feeling more like generic kaiju with no particular backstory or environmental connection. The tonal shift was noticeable enough that anniversary retrospectives specifically call it out as sponsor-driven censorship, a creative compromise that softened the show's bite. Still, the show's creative team had already planted one fascinating technical experiment in those early episodes.
Curse them. They wounded our monster.
Number 5. A stop-motion ghost from a dead pitch. One early episode monster moves differently than all the others. Its motion is jerky, deliberate, almost dreamlike, because it's animated in stop motion. This wasn't a stylistic flex or artistic choice. It was a remnant from the show's original concept. Spectreman started as a pitch called Chojin Element Man, where every monster would have been stop-motion animated in painstaking detail. Budget and schedule reality killed that ambitious dream fast, but one stop-motion monster survived as proof of what might have been. The production couldn't sustain the ambitious approach week after week, so they pivoted to traditional suitmation for the remaining 60-plus episodes, and lived with the compromise. That one stop-motion creature stands as the show's most visible what-if moment, a ghost of unrealized potential.
Apollo calling Houston. Everything's fine up here for re-entry at 6:42.
Number 4. 7 years late to the U.S. party. Spectreman premiered in Japan on January 2, 1971, riding the new decade's wave of environmental awareness. American kids didn't see it until fall 1978, more than 7 years later, when disco was dying and Star Wars had already changed everything. That's an eternity in pop culture time, especially for a show about current environmental disasters and contemporary anxieties. By the time it hit syndication on stations like Superstation TBS, the original run was ancient history in Japan. All 63 episodes were dubbed into English for American audiences, but the delay meant US viewers experienced Spectreman as a weird retro curiosity rather than cutting-edge tokusatsu. The English dub was co-written and performed by character actor Mel Wells, who handled multiple voices and gave Dr. Gory his memorably theatrical villainy with scenery-chewing gusto. That 7-year gap also meant the US version could make some interesting creative choices with the soundtrack.
I think I'd better go talk to the professor.
Oh, gee, you mean the man has been experimenting with moon rocks?
You're right.
Number 3. They replaced the theme with Mystic Moods Orchestra. The most head-scratching US change wasn't dialogue or editing. It was the theme song, the very first thing viewers heard. Dubbed episodes ditched the original Japanese theme entirely and replaced it with The First Day of Forever from the Mystic Moods Orchestra album Awakening. If you're wondering what Mystic Moods Orchestra sounds like, imagine elevator music trying really hard to be cosmic and inspirational. with synthesizers and gentle strings. It's soft rock meets new age meditation tape, completely at odds with a show about pollution-spawned kaiju and environmental apocalypse. Some Japanese instrumental cues survived for action sequences when Spectreman battled monsters, but that opening theme set a bizarrely mellow tone for everything that followed. It's the equivalent of scoring Godzilla with Enya, or playing Yanni over Pacific Rim fight scenes. American stations clearly wanted something radio-friendly and inoffensive, but the mismatch is genuinely wild when you experience it. Still, weird music choices aside, the show knew exactly who to cast in the lead role.
You are out in the open and you know you cannot transform in the presence of humans.
Number 2. Tetsuo Narikawa was your silver hero. Behind the mask and the transformation beam was actor Tetsuo Narikawa, playing both the human Joji Gamo and the towering Spectreman across every episode. Narikawa anchored all 63 episodes alongside voice actors Kiyoshi Kobayashi and Toru Ohira, who brought Dr. Gory and other characters to chilling life with theatrical menace. In tokusatsu, the lead actor carries immense weight, literally suiting up for stunt sequences, conveying emotion through body language when your face is hidden, and making the human alter ego believable when standing next to Pollution G-Men colleagues. Narikawa pulled off the dual identity with understated charm, making Joji earnest without being bland, heroic without being insufferable. He gave us a protagonist who genuinely cared about saving Earth, while maintaining his alien outsider perspective. It's easy to forget the humans inside these silver suits when we're focused on explosions and monster battles. But without Narikawa's grounded performance, the show's environmental stakes wouldn't have landed emotionally. And those stakes led to one of the darkest endings in the entire genre.
Boss, what happened to the monster? As soon as Spectreman got there, it disappeared.
Number 1. The villain who chose death over redemption. Here's your spoiler warning. We're talking about the series finale and how this whole saga ends. After 63 episodes of monster-making mayhem, Spectreman finally corners Dr. Gory and does something almost no tokusatsu hero attempts. He tries to talk the villain down. Spectreman appeals to Gory's genius, urging him to use his intelligence for good instead of destruction, offering redemption and a path forward. It's a moment of genuine hope, the kind of idealistic plea that usually works in superhero finales when the hero's faith in humanity wins the day. Dr. Gory listens to every word, considers the offer, and then takes his own life. No redemption arc, no last-minute heel turn, no tearful reconciliation or promise to do better. Just a decisive, somber rejection and a self-inflicted end that leaves Spectreman's plea hanging in the air. Critics have compared it to other bleak tokusatsu finales, but Spectreman earned its darkness through 62 episodes of environmental horror, building to this moment. Gory wasn't just evil. He was pollution personified, a manifestation of humanity's self-destructive impulses made flesh. His suicide wasn't just tragic, it was thematically inevitable. You can't redeem the poison you've created. You can only end it.
Be rash.
It's not rashness, sir. I'm dead serious. I'll do anything you want, sir.
Bonus fact: the show that started the 70s superhero boom. Before you hit play on anything else, here's the kicker. Spectreman was the first major Japanese superhero show of the 1970s. It premiered 3 months before the return of Ultraman and Kamen Rider, two titans that would define the decade and become household names. That means Spectreman essentially kicked off the entire henshin boom, the transformation hero craze that dominated Japanese TV for years and shaped a generation. When Spectreman debuted on January 2, 1971, it wasn't following trends or riding anyone's coattails. It was setting them. The pollution-fighting alien in the silver suit proved audiences were hungry for socially conscious tokusatsu that addressed real-world fears, paving the way for everything that followed. Not bad for a series most US fans discovered 7 years late on a random Saturday morning. From stop-motion ghosts to corporate censorship, from delayed US releases to one of the darkest villain endings ever filmed, Spectreman packed more wild stories into its production than most shows manage in twice the runtime. This wasn't just rubber suit monster fights. It was a show brave enough to make pollution the literal bad guy, then watch sponsors force it to back down. This is your host, signing off from Nebula 71. Keep fighting pollution, keep watching the skies, and remember,